Move over, Mario. There's a new anti-hero in town, and his name is Matthew Matt Pat Patrick. Hello, Internet, and welcome to Theory Game, where we put the I in Super Matt Pat. Huh? Sorry, Super Matt Pat? More like Super Villain. Because behind that fake smile, that subscriber count, and that egotistical, self-aware mindset is a truly evil man. And let me make it clear. Yes, this is a joke. This is a psych, fooled you guys moment like he did when we were proving Matt Pat's communist connections. And this is mere speculation, like when we looked at game theories, franchises linked to Sage kidnappings. Yes, after doing the research, I am convinced that this so-called theorist of the YouTube website is in fact a murderous, womanizing, animal abuser, a cruel, misanthropic sociopath. Do I have your attention now? Get ready to have your worlds rocked, theorists, because this one's going to be a doozy that will forever change how you feel about theorists' smallest mascot. The warning signs were present from the very beginning. Blood brothers seen swearing on the Bible featured Matt Pat's first appearance. But even in those early days, something was off. The story, as we know it, goes like this. Mrs. Johnstone making a deal with Mrs. Lyons and the devil to sell one of her children. That's it. And it sounds good in theory. But have you ever stopped to consider why Matt Pat was in this in the first place? Of course not. Raised on movies like Larry Boy and the Bad Apple, and years of Sunday school Bible stories, we just assume that he's the narrator, because it says so in the description. But you know what they say about assuming, don't you? It makes a theory out of you and me. Here's the truth, or rather, the rest of the story. Did you know that Matt Pat was evil in this story? That he was the devil? Which is why they were trying to sell their child to begin with? To get what he wanted? Yeah, that's a factoid you don't hear the game theorists trumpeting about their big cash cow. Now you would be 100% correct in asking me, well, where does it say that Matt Pat was the devil? The scene came with a vague story, and the sound on that video is so bad that you can't hear what's going on. Other sources like the actual play or scene in a movie are too expensive, so I haven't checked it out. But here at Theory Game, we try not to rest until we have primary sources. So I dug deeper and found this. I give you comedic monologue Raised in Captivity Sebastian, also from the Game Theorist YouTube channel. Not the prequel to the original video, the Game Theorist channel, where we see Matt Pat's side business where he happens to be imitating what he presumes and pretends to be a clown. And the star attraction, Matt Pat. Matt Pat flailing his arms and talking about tragic incidents, all while balancing on his own 2 feet, made to look like a fool, forced to flail his arms, pretends to see death and calls this a comedic moment to be laughed at. Clearly not the proper way for a game theorist to be treated. A theorist willingly forcing himself into uncomfortable situations, physically mocking himself with his hands, calling this a comedic moment to be laughed at. Matt Pat's lucky that theories are the only thing that raise suspicion from his audience. Oh, but dear theorists, we've only just begun. If we change the subject to Matt Pat's predilection for audience abuse, we don't even need to stroll obscure reaches of the Game Theorist channel. Matt Pat doesn't do much to hide his violent tendencies. In the wake of game theory, upset with spending hours editing videos and forced to do so much research, Matt Pat punishes the audience in his third channel, I think it's his third channel, with GT Live, where he makes longer videos, some of which are theories, cages up imaginary insects trapped inside the house with him, and uses the power of non-editing to defend his honor. In his later videos, MatPat even plays horror games. But what's worse than the treatment of his older audience is the treatment of his younger audience. Think about what we are seeing here. MatPat is live streaming horror games when his younger audience may tune in order to hear some of his side theories and stories. Just look at the utter distress and fear on this random photo I found on the internet's young face. In other news, MatPat has an unclear and confusing schedule that actively changes. Let me reiterate that point. MatPat, this YouTube theorist icon, paragon of incorrect theories, constantly gets his own schedule for live streaming wrong and makes young children tune in when he is playing too mature games for younger audience. This is the behavior that we have ignored and overlooked, dear gamers, and this is the information MatPat has been happy to silently sweep under the rug. But wait, that's not all. We're pulling all the skeletons out of the closet this time. MatPat is an equal opportunity abuser. He also hates insects. For example, flies. Innocent, happy creatures that across the entire world show absolutely zero intentions of ever hurting MatPat. I can Photoshop daisies on their head for crying out loud. And what does our theorist do? He edits in digital flies in his videos and digitally murders them with the power of editing, not once, but several times. Mind you that this took place after entrapping these harmless digital flies in his home. Then he proceeds to clap, crushing them to death. An innocent creature who did nothing wrong but fly in his way. From this perspective, MatPat is no better than a child burning ants with a magnifying glass, torturing small insects just for fun. And flies are only one of the multiple digital examples. That's not even mentioning real creatures, like mosquitoes, who only hurt you if you come into contact with you, and that totally don't try to chase you, land on you, and suck your blood. Or digital Cheep Cheeps, which we can see MatPat targeting and burning alive with his fiery vengeance. But let's cut the guy some slack. Flies and the rest are supposedly the enemies in real life because, MatPat's supposed to be the theorist and stuff. What's inexcusable though is his mistreatment of his family and his allies. Take for instance Yoshi. We learn in the beginning of Yoshi's Island that these cute dinos are responsible for saving MatPat's digital life. To recap, a stork drops baby Mario, who as time and time shows again, is a personal icon of MatPat. And luck would have it, lands safely on the back of a Yoshi. The rest of the game has a team of Yoshis, Yoshis. Wow, this joke actually sucks. Yoshis risking their lives to reunite the baby with his kidnapped brother, then delivering the two back to their parents on their back. A cute story, right? Heartwarming. Gets you right there. Well, fast forward to MatPat's theories. Hopping once more on top the back of his idol and trusted franchise to make some theories, and wait, he just accused him. Look again, MatPat forces through some hard-boiled crap theories and stretches to betray his childhood hero and get himself popularity. You can even see MatPat teases that he's going to accuse him before he does it. He is metaphorically beating this hero's reputation to get him what he wants him to do. And let's not forget that MatPat will drop a Yoshi into a pit without hesitation just to get a couple of extra inches out of his jump. A pit that time and time again has clearly shown to result in death. And the best part is, he thinks that his behavior is normal. To act in such a way, to treat Yoshi that he cares so much about that way. Once again, We don't just see animal abuse, we see virtual animal and virtual family abuse. Let us not forget, this is Yoshi, the same creature that had to handle this and this to keep his reputation safe. These tender-hearted dinosaurs are practically family, and what do they get? A punch that is clearly shown in the box art later and later games to be just a point, and a pit. That wasn't even supposed to be how you got through that part. Disposable like tissues. If only someone had taken him up on his acting career and signed his life away on a contract he didn't read for 38 seasons of a Hallmark show, the YouTube and gaming community would be a much happier and safer place. Speaking of abusing friends though, this next one is, in everyone's opinions, MatPat's worst sin. His treatment of small, undernoticed, and underappreciated game developers. Now stop for a minute and look at this guy. He's a highly respectable game developer who has made games that are often unnoticed and underappreciated, who thought the world of gaming and YouTube community. Look at the way he reacts when MatPat didn't reference his game that he played in GT Live. Even though it is told mostly in words, you can see he is outright respectable, right, and not demeaning anyone in the slightest. Without doubt, that was one of the most polite ways to ask that his game is credited. You can read previous tweets and understand how much he wants to get mentioned and his work to get out there. How much he wishes that his team can get credit. How he's asked over and over again to be included in the description. And what we read is that YouTubers have crushed those dreams. Crushed them like the thousands of insects that MatPat has repeatedly crushed under his fat, whatever where he's from, weight. Denying them any chance of fulfilling his dream of living a happy life. But it gets worse than sheer neglect. Look at the response that MatPat gave to this tweet. The game developers nicely tweeted out, asking for credit, and MatPat just provides excuses. He doesn't really apologize, he doesn't thank him for bringing it to his attention, he doesn't even try to resolve his concern, he just flat out creates excuses. They are less than the fly remains on the bottom of MatPat's hands. The only reason he fixes it is because Toby Fox called him out. He doesn't even apologize for stealing anyone's quotes either. After this whole issue, he makes a video where he just strolls out and sits there. No apology, no nothing. Just staring at the camera like, I hope you like the lamest video I've ever made, bro. 'Cause it's the most you're gonna get. Oh my bad, I just paused the video, silly me. I hope MatPat has never paused a video game before like that to prove a point, because if he pressed continue, it would have ruined his whole point, and probably the video. Oh, wait. Moving on. But what's disgusting, and I mean disgusting, is eating the greasy peel of a rotten banana. Does it sound like I'm fired up? 'Cause after that sidetrack, I really am not. But usually I am angry that I have been deceived by this sourceless actor for about 2 years, that I have called him a theorist, that I have been his fan. Here's why. In the live stream for Valentine's Day, at the end, this is what happened. Stephanie talks. For once, this behind-the-scenes genius who has been making all of the theories for MatPat gets time in the spotlight. People are listening to her. Thousands of people are listening to her story. She's getting the spotlight, and what does MatPat do? The husband who Stephanie would love MatPat to listen to the story, what does he do? Sits there, smiling, laughing, and interrupts there. Sits there and interrupts there. MatPat is so unfeeling, so bereft of love or affection for anything or anyone, even his own wife. He is unwilling to let anyone else take the spotlight in a live stream that nobody cares about, except for all the people watching the live stream and those who saw it on GT Live. But that doesn't count, not in his video at least. And look at Stephanie. Her moment of storytelling is ruined. The husband she thought would respect her moment of spotlight instead trashes upon it. It flies completely with everything Stephanie has associated with her husband, and the look on her face proves it. She's not confused, she's not bewildered, even though she should be, and we should be too. We have been lied to, and if nothing else shows MatPat's disturbing, cruel nature, this moment. This willingness to smile in your face while doing something completely awful and selfish shows how evil he is. And you know what? There's more. Lots more. Besides torturing fans, besides destroying the homes and lives of animals, beyond beating and killing dinosaurs, and beyond being a cruel, heartless husband, MatPat's sins continue. So join me next year. Yes, next year, as we conclude our trial of theorist medium-sized icon, exposing his fondness for women and murder. Have I convinced you yet? If not, there's still plenty more to go. In the meantime, it's just a game. A theory game. Thanks for watching. Seriously though, have I convinced you? Well, click on one to vote. And before you do, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss next year's thrilling conclusion. And last time, Stephanie won by 100% as the real theorist. Happily, MatPat didn't have a chance.